Yo, yo, what up? It's Cyber again. Doing another video for Rendepth, my 2D to 3D conversion, like media player or whatever. So these are some screenshots from Cinema 2 I took on my computer. So these are this should be, I think, yeah, 3440 by 1440. These are 2 megabyte, I think, JPEGs. So this is just 2D, so I haven't started the conversion yet. So I can click through, and you can see it's pretty much instant. I mean, I'll just click really fast. So this is kind of the fastest it's going, and I purposely kind of throttled it. So one, so you could kind of see the transition, and two, so it just doesn't glitch out, because if there was no throttling, you can click through, like, 30 images and they're queued up to load, and it's just asking for trouble. So I just kind of throttled it, so there's a minimum amount of time between images. And then so this top bar I already I showed in the last video. So you got a preview of the beginning of the file name, the file size, and the resolution. And then these are just the standard minimize, maximize, close buttons. I have this, which is the options menu. It doesn't work yet. I mean, there's a button. It's supposed to open like a pop-up mode or whatever, where you could set the quality of performance modes, set which format you're trying to export to, and then I also have a slideshow. So I'll click this. So that's the slideshow button. And then also, if you don't touch the mouse for like 3 seconds, the UI disappears. And then you'll see, yeah, so I'm not touching anything right now. So it's set on a 10-second timer to just kind of cycle through all the images in whatever folder that is. And I'll probably put an adjustment so you can make it, if you want to make it 15 seconds or whatever, I'll set some sort of adjustment for that. But that's working, and it also works in 3D. So I'm gonna here click the well, let me just stop this, and then I'll click the 3D button. And this, you saw it took, that was probably like 4 or 5 seconds or whatever to load. But now that it's loaded, watch when I go to the next image. So I'm going to click this, and that was significantly less than a second. So I'm going to click, that was felt like something like 200, like a quarter of a second, maybe a little bit more, like in that half a second, quarter of a second kind of range. So I'm clicking through, and then that's pretty fast. Like and these are it says 7K because this is already it's already 3D, so it doubles it. But these were 1440p ultra wide screenshots. And now I think this was the first one I did. It's a small folder. So now the depth map is already generated. Now I'll just put it on a side-by-side mode. It might make it a little easier for the video. And then here, so you can see, since the depth map is already generated, I could just click through these photos, and this is full speed, just basically kind of as fast as you can click. Aside from the the delay that I put in just so the animation looks okay. And then here I'll turn the 3D off and on, and you can see it's definitely doing something right here. And then this is I could probably get one with a better background, or maybe this. You could see this is definitely you could see the parallax is definitely 3D. And then the other thing I did here was add these stereo options. So if I click this, now there's these 3 sliders, and it's going to be easier to see in anaglyph mode here. And let me get maybe a better image. This one should be good. This is this one's probably good. So these 3 sliders I put in, and I don't really like text. I don't know. And I made the buttons big and clear because I might have a mobile version at some point, so I kind of like the more like minimal mobile UI. So there's these 3 stereoscopic options, and then here is the I can show or hide these options with this button. So the first one is basically the kind of stereo effect, or the separation between the eyes here. So I could slide this, and you could see it's you could see the overlap of the image is changing. It's not changing, like, it probably doesn't look like a lot on the video because, you know, it's your eyes. Like, it's like 64 millimeters, so, you know, it's not a huge difference, but you could definitely see it's doing something. And then let me put it like in the middle, and then this second one is it's sort of like the depth range. It's like kind of what you're considering, how you interpret the depth map, because, you know, you have a grayscale image, it's like 0 to 1, and how you're interpreting that in terms of like real world units. So I could put this down. So if I put this all the way down, and I put the eye separation to 0 as well, you see there's still overlap, because this is I have this last slider, which is just it's not 3D. It's actually just taking the two eyes, the left and the right eye, and here if I slide it, you can see it just slides them back and forth. So if I move this all the way here, so it's on the screen, this is now the 2D image. I mean, it looks kind of tinted because it's the anaglyph red cyan mode, but there's no 3D here. And then let's just put a little bit. So now if I increase the eye separation, and this, let's say put it like, you know, to 40-50% or whatever. So here, if I put this all the way up, you could see there's very little kind of doubling of the image, because it's keeping it all kind of on the same plane. So the background here is actually basically flat. So the kind of focus, the parallax plane, is going to be on the screen, like on the actual physical screen you're looking at. And then the characters, anything that's in front of that, is going to be kind of popping out. Because I know a lot of times with 3D, people like to pop out, especially, you know, for games and things like that. So if I turn this down, this is pushing it into the screen. So what I kind of want to do here is increase the depth, and then if let's say I just push this all the way to the max, right? So if I pull the overlap to around here, which is like 85-90%, you could see this character Senua is basically kind of touching, you know, the glass. If you imagine your computer monitor is a window, it's kind of touching the glass. And then this dude is like a little bit further back, so you could see this kind of fringing, red-blue fringing on his face. And then the background is even further back, because you could see the separation is more. But if I push this even, oh, this is already kind of further back, so if I, let's say, push it out, so now it's all the way out. So the background here is flat, and then the characters, you could see they're fringing, but in the other direction, so they're like popping out. And if you push this all the way up, like, that's going to be a lot of pop out, which is probably too much. But I wanted to you know, make these configuration options like about 20% more than you probably should put, so that way people have, you know, some kind of artistic license on the depth. So you could definitely, like, if you just put these on max, most images are probably, I'll just go to hit the play button. Most images are probably going to be, you know, too much. So but I wanted to give people the options, because, you know, everybody, yeah, well, the images, you know, the content could be content dependent. People's eyes work different. They have different IPD. Some people might want, you know, a more comfortable image. Some people might want more, like, you know, kind of an extreme 3D effect. So I wanted to give people the options there. So this was, I just hit the slideshow button here. So it takes like 10 seconds per slide. But here, you saw, I let go of the mouse. So this is just on its own right now. So that was kind of, you know, one of the main features that I showed so far was these, you know, these 3D options here, this, and then in the UI, these new UI buttons, and then I'll put it back on 2D just as easier for the video. And then this, you know, we have a slideshow feature. The next and previous buttons already worked. And then you know, up here on the title bar, you have kind of the preview, the file name, the resolution, and then the image. Here, actually, I think that's kind of a bug. It's showing the resolution of the 3D image, even though I'm in 2D mode. So I'm actually not sure what's correct there, but I probably would want to show the original image size and not the like side by side, full size or whatever. And then just the generic minimize, maximize, close buttons. And then this, which would be like the settings for the app, which is not, it's not done. It's not even, there's nothing there. I'm just, but I have the icon, and then, pretty shortly I'm gonna make the menu so you could put it on performance mode, quality mode, change the format, which format, if you want to export to anaglyph or side by side, or some other format or whatever. So that's kind of the biggest thing that needs to be done. I mean, I would say this is basically feature complete. I mean, it's all kind of there. So yeah, so I know I said I was launching by the end of November, and clearly that didn't happen because it's the beginning of December. But I feel like the app, is basically, feature complete. It's not kind of ready to launch. I'm not in that state. But I think in terms of, it's generating the depth, it's, it's 3D. You could see I have the icons for the major things. I have up here, I could, open files, save files. It's just, some, a few things like that modal for the settings, and also cross-platform. I'm working on Linux. I'm developing. I tested like a early demo on Windows, so that shouldn't be a problem. But I haven't like tested built it for Windows recently, and also Mac. I haven't even looked at Mac. So I'm assuming I'm using SDL3, and I haven't used anything OS specific or like proprietary, so I imagine it should just work, but it's always something else with cross-platform, so I know it's not going to be just like a one-click thing. So I have to check that out, and also test a few different computers, because I've been testing, like, my development machine is pretty high-end, so I do need to test laptops, test different machines, NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at now. But I'm feeling pretty good. It feels solid on my machine, just clicking through and converting. I mean, these, especially with images like this, is, like I said, 1440p. It's like, fairly quick, like, a quarter of a second, half a second. We're talking about, speeds that are, you don't have to do pre-computation. You could just load up whatever folder images and just kind of browse them. It's, the delay is really not that much. So that was the main feature I was focused on. So that, it works. It's working. So I still want to launch like this year. I think, it might take a couple weeks for this, testing and the cross-platform stuff. So I think end of the year is possible. At this point, I'm not in a huge rush, because I would prefer, if I have to wait a week or two to make sure it's not like, crashing people's computers, or they're going to have a bad user experience, like, that's worth waiting, 2 weeks or whatever it is. But I also don't want to just be here, tweaking things and making it perfect forever. So I do, want to kind of keep it tight and get up before the year if I can. Yeah, I mean, that's basically it for that. I mean, I think the images, I feel like they're decent quality, and the 3D does look very good. I think the shader I have, not just the depth generation, because there's a lot of apps that do a depth map generation, but the actual kind of reprojection into 3D, I feel it looks good. It's a different look. It's not like what everyone else is doing. So I'm pretty confident about that. So I kind of just want to get that out there, and then add features once I have a solid base, because like I did want to get video at some point. I think games probably aren't realistic, because even if I get it working, you're running the game, so the depth generation takes it's pretty intensive. Like, even if I got it to run in real time, you're also running like a AAA game at the same time, so it's probably not realistic outside of like retro games. Like, if you want to do like play Half-Life 2, that'll probably work. But if you're already like maxing out your computer, you probably don't have the performance to also run that in the background. But I think it's working right now for images, and that's acceptable, good speed. And then for video, possibly if we're talking about movies, 24 frames per second, or a lot of YouTube, social media is like 30 frames per second. So that might be possible. I don't want to promise anything because I have to, do research and stuff like that. But I'm gonna look into that, next. And then, there's a lot of other kind of quality of life, improvements, and then, of course, like I said, different display methods, because this right now I'm supporting side by side, so there's a good amount of here, I'll put the side by side mode back on. So there's a good amount of legacy monitors, the stuff Acer has. I think Lenovo has a monitor. There's some Chinese companies and stuff. So side by side is still there's modern devices that work with this. Like right now, what you're looking at, the side by side mode, and then obviously pretty much all the legacy devices. Oh, I got the this head mounted display. It's GoViz Art or something like that, which is it's not really for VR. It's kind of like a personal media viewer, but it supports side by side. I already tested this. It looks actually really good because it's it's an HMD. It's a head-mounted display, so there's no ghosting. You have two screens, so the image is very 1080p. It's very crisp. So I'm happy about that. So they have a bunch of headsets. They might be one of the better companies, but there's other companies with these media players, and I think I mentioned Virture before. They have these kind of AR glasses, and what's it called, the Ray Neo or Air or something. There's a couple glasses like that are like semi popular niche, but still semi popular within the niche. So I think those should all be kind of working already, and I'm gonna kind of just move forward with that because I think that makes sense for an image viewer. That's more of the market for this kind of thing, but moving forward down the road, probably, getting into next year, I could start thinking about, VR headsets and some of these other stereoscopic displays. I mean, I was working a bit with the Looking Glass. It's like sort of like a kind of like a hologram kind of thing, and it does work. I have some tests that they're promising. But it's going to be more work to actually output to the display. It's like anything, they have SDKs and stuff like that. So I mean, I could definitely do it. It's just I don't want to delay the launch for these things when the core features are kind of working. So I'll probably look into that like next year. So like I said, the Looking Glass, the Meta Quest. Probably some other ones, mobile. There's a lot of features that I want, but I just want to get out like the minimum viable product right now. So yeah, so I mean that's basically the idea. So this video looks like it's gonna be only like 20 minutes. My last one was way too long. This is probably still way too long for a YouTube video, but whatever. I just wanted to kind of share what I was working on. So yeah, so I would say this is probably gonna be the last like development like kind of video I'm doing, because it's practically done, and the things that are left are like bug fixes and cross-platform, stuff it's not really any like new interesting features or anything like that. So I will probably don't need to do another video until I actually kind of launch this thing or whatever. So yeah, so hopefully I could stick to the timeline and get something out, in the next couple weeks before the end of the year. But if not, it's, I mean, like I said, it's almost done, so it's going to be You know, definitely within the month, the next month, give or take. And then I'll probably, the next video will probably be like an actual, you know, like launch trailer or something like that. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned.